Amber Glenn stood atop the world's highest podium gold, weighing heavy on her chest, realizing victory was just the opening shot. The Milano ice arena typically demands hushed reverence and traditional decorum. But as the medal ceremony for the figure skating team event wrapped up, the atmosphere shifted. It became painfully obvious that Glenn was standing in the eye of a cultural hurricane. As the first openly queer woman to skate for Team USA in the Olympics, her triumph collided with a terrifying wave of digital vitriol. Long before touching down in Italy, Glenn had been vocal about the crushing burdens placed on her community. She preached about human rights and basic kindness, while representing a nation locked in a fierce culture war. The backlash was instant and brutal, a social media barrage capable of breaking a weaker spirit. Yet as the Star-Spangled Banner rang out, Glenn didn't flinch. She looked like a woman who had finally found her roar. Flanking her was Alysa, the rebel prodigy who walked away at 16, only to rewrite her own ending. Together, they are the Blade Angels, a squad revolutionizing the modern Olympian archetype. This wasn't just a win for the team, it was a victory for defiant individuality. To grasp the vibe in Milan, you have to understand the bond connecting Glenn Liu and their teammate Isabeau Levito. Blade Angels sounds like marketing fluff, but it is strictly a survival mechanism in a sport that often resembles a psychological battle royale. They chose the most radical option available: sisterhood. For decades, the blueprint for the American skater was set in stone, the ice princess, petite, silent, and politically beige. She was a figurine in a music box, expected to spin on command and vanish when the music stopped. This archetype wasn't just an aesthetic choice. It was a psychological prison trading identity for high scores from conservative panels. Amber Glenn and Alysa just shattered that glass box. Glenn is the veteran, the almost girl, who finally arrived. She is a powerhouse, wielding a triple axel that rivals the men's division. Liu is the counterculture icon, rocking raccoon-striped hair and piercings, treating the games like a weekend hang with besties. By forging the Blade Angels, they built a brotherhood valuing realness over reputation. They are fiercely loyal and publicly loud about it. When the hate mail flooded in, Liu and Levito acted as Glenn's noise-canceling headphones. They transformed the locker room from a frigid zone of rivalry into the headquarters of a revolution. This bond is their mental flak jacket, reminding them they are humans first and targets second. If Glenn is the heart of this movement, Liu is the spirit of pure, unfiltered chaos. Years ago, Alysa was the anointed savior of US skating. The youngest national champion in history at 13, the pressure of being a prodigy nearly destroyed her. The world wanted a machine. Liu wanted a life. After her first Olympic run, she did the unthinkable. She retired at 16, tossed her skates in a closet, and went to find herself. Her return was the sports headline of the century. But she didn't come back as the polished princess of the past. She returned as a rebel, rejecting old-school rules of professionalism. She is the skater who laughs off a fall mugs for the judges after a slip and refuses to be anything but a genuine 20-year-old. She speaks openly about college and the realization that happiness isn't tied to the ice. She chose to be here, and that agency changed her entire center of gravity. She is Glenn's perfect foil because they share a common nemesis expectation. In the team event, Liu delivered a performance that was technically lethal, yet emotionally unburdened. No longer fighting the ghost of her past, she embraced the woman she has become. Standing on that podium, she wasn't just a teammate. She was a witness to an era where personality matters as much as points. Yet authenticity paints a giant target on your back. In this digital age, existing as yourself is an act of aggression. Moments after the gold was secured, Glenn fell under the microscope, with critics labeling her a distraction and claiming her identity eclipsed her talent. The internet was already burning with critics put her under the microscope, hunting for any excuse to discredit the win. Amber's countermove was a defensive clinic. She dropped a clip with Alysa gold around their necks, sending a clear message to the haters: stay bitter. This wasn't about politics or pushing an angle. It was about defending her right to own her moment. That confidence acted as a firewall against the static. It signaled that internet chatter does not tip the scales against Olympic hardware. But the question remained, how did she keep her head in the game? Amber refers to her ADHD not as a hurdle, but as a superpower. Where most see a deficit, she sees hyper-focused intensity. The second her skates hit the ice, the digital noise fades into the background. Years of being dubbed the almost girl forged a mental toughness that has finally hardened into steel. Amber admitted she had never faced such a barrage of ill will simply for existing as her authentic self. The atmosphere turned so toxic, she eventually went dark on social platforms to safeguard her headspace for the solo finals. She understood that claiming victory on the rink meant first winning the psychological battle. That is the harsh truth of modern Olympic competition. The battlefield has expanded beyond the arena. It now includes the comments section. As if the online crusade wasn't enough, Amber hit a technical snag that threatened to eclipse the triumph. It served as a stark reminder that the sport's traditional gatekeepers are always watching. For the team event, Amber performed to a haunting number called The Return by Seb McKinnon. Scarcely had the broadcast ended when a legal dispute over music rights erupted on the world stage. In a discipline where every nuance is graded, this transcended legalities. It became personal. The red tape surrounding figure skating music rights is notoriously tangled. It usually involves administrative layers the talent never sees. But to Amber, it felt like targeted interference designed to break her concentration. It seemed like the universe was telling her she didn't belong unless she played by the old rules. But one look at that triple axel tells a different story. That jump is pure, unadulterated aggression. While the standard women's program emphasizes grace and fluidity, Amber chooses violence. She attacks the jumps with a velocity typically reserved for the men's division. The licensing drama eventually blew over, but it cemented Amber Glenn's reputation. She is a competitor who battles for her voice and her soundtrack. She refused to water down her program or apologize for the path that led to the podium. She established that her artistry is her property alone. That grit in the face of bureaucratic nonsense only polished her image as the sports rebel. Then came the incident that served as the perfect metaphor for these games. The hardware started failing. Mere hours after the ceremony, Alysa shared footage of her prize, the physical proof of her life's work, completely severed from its ribbon. It had snapped right off during the victory lap. For an event with the prestige of the Olympics, it was a staggering quality control failure. But for Alysa and Amber, it was comedy gold. While officials scrambled and promised replacements, Alysa's take was pure punk rock. She told her circle she preferred it broken. To her, the dented, detached metal mirrored her own path imperfect. It defied tradition, looking nothing like the pristine trophy people expect. It was a medal with battle scars, just like the champions wearing them. The visual of Amber and Alysa clutching their scuffed, broken prizes has become the defining snapshot of the tournament. It embodies a new school that ignores the gloss of yesteryear in favor of raw truth. The old systems are crumbling. The Ice Princess archetype is shattering, replaced by a squad of warriors thriving in the debris. They are proving to the globe that you can be damaged, flawed, and offbeat while still reigning supreme. The scratches on the medallions make the victory feel more authentic. For Amber Glenn and Alysa, success isn't just about the hardware. It is about autonomy. It is about forcing the skating establishment to stare them down and accept them without conditions. They proved a champion doesn't need to be PR-friendly to be legitimate. They demonstrated that you can be difficult or alternative and still stand atop the world. Amber Glenn enters the individual finals not as an underdog, but as the one to beat. The almost label is gone. She is the golden standard. Like it or not, she is the new vanguard of American skating. She has drowned out the silence of the past with a roar echoing across the globe. This isn't just about the scorecard anymore. They are skating for every outcast who was told they were too intense or not enough. The Ice Princess is dead. Long live the Rebel Queen. It has been ages, but the gold finally favors the fearlessly authentic. The eyes of the world are locked on the ice. The singles finale is imminent, and the Blade Angels are primed for liftoff.